You ever just think you need to step your C game up, girl? Like, if a trans woman is taking your things, it's because she's doing better, being better. And some of y'all think that y'all have the determination and the willpower, but you're really a day late and a dollar short, you know? Y'all be thinking, oh, I'm doing it. But it's like, baby, they've been working harder. They've just been working harder.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So once again, I wanted to talk about women's sports and the various attitudes that I've noticed online in regards to how women are supposed to respond to biological males infringing upon their sports. Apparently, we're supposed to just accept it. Apparently, we're supposed to just accept that we're not going to win trophies all the time. And maybe we need to step up our game. Seeing a lot of disrespectful comments and out of touch with reality comments, especially on X, formerly known as Twitter. A lot of sanctimonious, self-righteous, disrespectful, idiotic statements being made by people who should know better. So we've had Riley Gaines and her battle with Olbermann, but it wasn't really a battle. I mean, she just basically destroyed him and made him go back into his MSNBC cave. Then we have Senator Megan Hunt, who's also been very disrespectful towards Riley Gaines and come up with some ridiculous comments. So we're going to get into that. So first of all, in terms of stepping up our game, no, women don't need to step up their game when it comes to transgender athletes. Women were doing just fine competing against other women, as it's always been from the beginning of time. Women compete against women. Heavyweight boxers compete against heavyweight boxers. Lightweight boxers compete against lightweight boxers. Under 15s compete against under 15s. They don't compete against the over 18s. That's how it's always been. It's called fairness. That way people can actually enjoy the sport and not see someone get completely annihilated by someone who has an unfair advantage. So that was nonsense. I thought I'll just include that for a laugh. Then we had Senator Megan Hunt tweet this. It can be hard when you're young to not win a trophy sometimes, but we grow up and realise it's not the end of the world, and we don't need to turn that loss into our entire personality. So that was directed towards Riley Gaines in relation to an article speaking about her going to Nebraska and talking about her experience. So when I saw that, I'm thinking, are you serious? How out of touch with reality are you? Riley Gaines is a professional athlete, and I'm sure she's had many wins as well as losses. That's what you have to deal with when you're an athlete. But usually that's when you are competing against other women, not when you're competing against biological males. And this is somebody who tied with Leah Thomas. And somebody responded, never in my life have I ever seen someone profit this way from losing. You see the disrespect? And Riley responded, I'd actually love to hear how I'm profiting. Do you idiots think you get paid for doing interviews? Is constantly receiving threats to myself and my family considered profit? You're an all-knowing genius who talks a big game, so tell me specifically how I've profited. And then somebody asked, sincere question. If you were this passionate about the issue, an issue I agree with, then why did you agree to compete against Leah in the first place? Why agree to be in that shared locker room at any point? And Riley has made it clear that they weren't even warned that Leah was going to be in the locker room naked. And Mike said, to avoid being stripped of her scholarships she earned. You're disgusting. Now, you know, she's getting it from both sides here. But obviously most people who are conservative, don't even have to be conservative, just people who don't think this is fair, you know, are supporting Riley. And nobody knows how they would have reacted in that situation because it was unprecedented. It really was. And these are young, impressionable girls. They had to learn how to deal with it with no support from the NCAA. It's not being salty because you didn't win a trophy. And I really feel Megan Hunt is being disingenuous. She just wanted to take a swipe at Riley. She just wanted to be disrespectful. No one knows more about winning and losing than a professional athlete who's at the highest level. No one knows more about that. And I'm inclined to believe Megan doesn't do sports or has never done sports because clearly she doesn't know what she's talking about. Riley Gaines doesn't compete anymore professionally. She's not doing this for herself. She's doing this for the younger girls who are coming behind her, who may find themselves in the same situation, not just having to compete against a biological male, but having to change in a locker room with them too. For a sport where you have to change into your swimsuit, everything is revealed. That must be very, very distressing for a young woman to have to deal with through no fault of her own because of the NCAA and their stupid rules. So Riley Gaines responded quite rightly saying the following: "Imagine missing the point this much." And I said the following because I could not believe what I was reading. And I said, I wanted to say you can't be this stupid, but, you know, I weren't sure if that was going to be classed as bullying or something on X. So I said, you can't be this out of touch with reality. It's not about winning trophies. It's about biology. There are male and female categories in sports. This is nothing new. Long hair and lashes doesn't turn a man into a woman, and therefore makes it fair for him to compete against women. I mean, come on.
To my best friends and teammates, and we will compete. Thank you for stopping by.
So there's a new proposal in Nebraska from Governor Pillen proposing this Women's Bill of Rights that basically seeks to define what a woman is in Nebraska so that there's no issues when it comes to their laws and who those laws pertain to. So Riley Gaines weighed in on the situation because, again, Senator Megan Hunt said that, you know, it was ridiculous to even do such a thing, saying, "Today, Governor Pillen, famous women's rights supporter, signed this offensive and ridiculous proclamation establishing a woman's Bill of Rights. He should try saying this stuff to my face. Then we would see who's got what biological advantage." Wow. Very aggressive there, if you ask me. So Riley Gaines says, defining woman equals ridiculous, to state Senator Megan Hunt. And clown emojis, which are very appropriate. So Keith Olbermann, a former MSNBC host, decides to butt his head into the situation. He's neither an athlete nor a woman, allegedly, and basically insults Riley Gaines out of absolutely nowhere. Former MSNBC host Keith Olbermann called on former NCAA swimmer Riley Gaines to acknowledge that she was a terrible athlete in a post that is receiving backlash on social media. "Can you just address the reality and move past it?" Olbermann wrote on X, formerly known as Twitter. "You sucked at swimming. That's why you lost." First of all, Riley tied with a biological male, Leah Thomas, who's 6'4". She actually tied with this person. That in and of itself is pretty impressive if you ask me. So Olbermann was responding to a post Gaines made in defense of a women's Bill of Rights, which postulates that males and females possess immutable biological differences. This shouldn't even be necessary, but unfortunately today, such things are necessary. Biological facts need to be written up and agreed upon in order to avoid any confusion, because clearly a lot of people today are confused. You tell an elite athlete that she sucks because she doesn't agree with having to compete against a biological male. The two things have nothing to do with one another. That's got nothing to do with how good they are as an athlete. It's just about fairness. And this happens across the board, whether you're a beginner, whether you're an amateur, whether you're in school, whether it's just for fun, whether it's professional. Girls should not have to compete against boys. Women should not have to compete against men, and certainly should not have to change in the locker rooms with them. So Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen is reportedly the second governor in America who has established the Women's Bill of Rights, telling constituents it's common sense that men do not belong in women's only spaces. And this was on Wednesday. So Olbermann, a former MSNBC and ESPN host, wow. So you were a host of ESPN and you don't know the difference between a good athlete and a bad athlete. You don't know the implications of biological males competing in women's sports. I mean, even if you agree with it, you should know more than anybody that that's not about how good the female athlete is or how bad she is, supposedly. It's about fairness. You should be aware that that is the main argument. He was widely criticised for his mockery of Gaines' athletic ability by former teammates and political commentators. Gaines herself fired back at Olbermann for his comments, saying, makes sense now. why you got fired from ESPN. Yes, it absolutely does make sense. And then she decided to respond with a video highlighting her athletic achievements. And people were saying, of course, you don't need to do this, just ignore him. He's embarrassed himself by saying that in the first place, which is all true. But she had time that day and she decided to have a little fun with it. Before we get into that, what I find funny is even the Twitter notes had her back. So this is the Twitter or X version of fact checkers, but it's run by individuals. It's not run by people who are biased and, just have one political affiliation. So the Twitter notes said, Riley Gaines was a very successful swimmer, ending her college Wildcat career as one of the most decorated swimmers in the program's history. She played an instrumental role in the Wildcats, clinching their first ever conference championship title in 2021. So she said, all the people commenting he's not worth it, then you have nothing to prove. Trust me, I know. But I needed some entertainment too.
All right, Keith, as I was getting my All-SEC first team honors down to show you, I dropped it and I broke it, which would be really unfortunate if I didn't have more of those, but lucky for me, I do. So let's go through it. SEC title, second in the country. This is my SEC Community Service Leader of the Year award, which actually got me a lot of money. Oh, another SEC title, an NCAA trophy. Oh, look, SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year. Believe it or not, I'm pretty smart. Another SEC title, another NCAA trophy. Oh, that's when we won an SEC championship as a team. Some more SEC honors. Oh, look, another one. That's when I broke the 200 butterfly record, the SEC record, which I still hold, making me one of the fastest Americans of all time. And so, Keith, I would be really sad if I broke this trying to prove a point to an old man who can't even seem to keep a job. But I've got more of these, so I'm not. Thanks, Keith.
An old man who can't even seem to keep a job. Well, I mean, that says it all there, doesn't it? So obviously she destroyed him. She completely obliterated him out of orbit. And I don't know if he responded. How can you respond to that? Twitter notes again got her back saying, Riley Gaines holds several current records at the collegiate swimming level and has won awards from the SEC as well. So not only has she won awards for swimming, she's won awards for her academia too. And she said that if it wasn't for all of this campaigning that she's been doing, she would have been in dental school now. That was her goal, to go to dental school. So she's obviously very smart too. And then he was advertising his podcast, I guess it is, and he said, second all-team conference, happily for nasty, stupid, unsuccessful transphobe Riley Gaines. She has no reputation to ruin. Anywho, don't forget to listen to the Countdown podcasts because Trump also sucks. So this guy is just an old, bitter, nasty individual. In my Trump voice, you're a nasty, nasty man. An absolute nasty individual. First of all, Riley Gaines is still very young. I think she's like, in her early 20s. Even if we disagree with her, to speak to a young girl like this is absolutely disgusting. Or to tweet, about a young girl like this as an older man. It's absolutely disgusting. It really is. You don't have to agree, but you can still talk about these points in a respectful manner. So she has to be okay with a man in her locker room undressing in front of her, as she revealed all the girls basically were exposed to that. Because this was pre-surgery. So she has to be okay with that. And if she isn't, she's a bigot. That's basically what he is saying. Young girls have to accept this now. It's sick. It really is sick.
Let me tell you something. None of us on that pool deck wanted Thomas there. I saw the tears. I saw the tears from the 9th and 17th place finishers who missed out on being named an All-American by one place. And I felt the extreme discomfort in the locker room from all of us when a 6'4" man walks in, starts undressing from his women's swimsuit and is fully intact with male genitalia. We did not want him there, yet ESPN is choosing to throw what they know is right. They know this is wrong. What they know is right out of the window to honor this person. Same thing with Bud Light.
And former swimmer Paula Scallon also had her back saying, your political bias blinds you and dismissive views like yours embolden men to change in front of us. Former University of Pennsylvania swimmer Paula Scallon told Olbermann. Why don't you address the reality that women's spaces are being invaded and many women are harmed by this narrative? Scallon, who was on the same team as Thomas, has become a leading advocate for women's sports after she said she was forced to undress in front of Thomas in University of Pennsylvania locker rooms. Professor Emeritus Colin Wright shared a link to Gaines's swim resume, which included an award from the SEC for Female Scholar Athlete of the Year 2022, All-American in 200 free award, and even an Olympic trials qualifier in 2021. The reality is staring you in the face, Wright told Olbermann. And you're a nasty, ignorant man, sucked at swimming. And Washington Examiner contributor Kimberly Ross called Olbermann sexist for his attacks on Gaines. I'm sorry, she wrote. Your statement should be directed towards a dude named Leah Thomas. He sucks at swimming against biological males so much that he decided to identify as female just so he could win. How sexist and sad. Both you and Leah. Exactly. So we had Megan Hunt with her patronizing tweet talking about getting used to not winning trophies. Get over it. You know, you're not going to win trophies all the time. And we had Keith Olbermann saying you sucked at swimming. But Leah Thomas, as William Thomas, was ranked 400 and something, and then becomes number 1 as soon as he identifies as a woman. But it's the elite athletes like Riley Gaines who suck. It's the women who are supposed to get used to not winning trophies. Have that same energy for Leah Thomas. Instead of identifying as a woman and using your unfair advantage to dominate, why didn't you accept being ranked 400 and something when you were a man? Why was that not good enough for you? I've always said this, if the sport really mattered to you, you would do it at an amateur level. You would just be happy to be competing. There are people who compete on all levels. But because you wanted the trophies, you wanted the scholarships, you wanted the accolades, you were perfectly happy essentially cheating because you were allowed to do that. So we have the comments here. Finish him. His girlfriend is probably a trans woman. Mad respect. I wish I had that kind of physical prowess. Color me jealous. And then she Will Smithed him, apparently. Perfect. I just don't understand these people. They're so miserable. They're so miserable. You have the administration I'm sure you voted for. So why are you miserable? And Jenna Ellis, oh, the lawyer, so a mugshot there. She wrote, at Keith Olbermann, by the way, she knows what a woman is too. And many people agree that he wasn't a successful sports anchor. Okay. Looks like poor little Keith voted for himself. Someone wrote, he's an old has-been that is just jealous that he didn't think of the trans scam first to get into the girls' locker room. Whoa. Well done, Riley. Just keep going. There were lots of young girls relying on you. Exactly. And that's what this comes down to. And I do believe that Riley's not doing this for herself. Just like Megan Rapinoe decided to become a trans activist before retiring, Riley Gaines decided to become an activist for women, for young girls, before she stopped competing. Those are the paths that they chose. And she's currently on vacation with her sister, very unbothered, with the following caption, enjoying some vacation time in the Bahamas. Ready for the incoming "you look more manly than most males" comments. I take that 100% as a compliment, considering the dedication and hard work it takes to be an elite athlete. Proud to be a strong woman. And there you have it. No matter how much abs or muscles she gains, she still very much is a woman and still very much looks like a woman. And that's how biology works. And that's exactly why males should not compete in women's sports. There are male and female categories for a reason. And the need for those categories don't go away just because somebody wants to identify as a woman. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.